Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back to your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about Hedera and HBAR. So let's just dive in and let's start off with this tweet here from Max Walker Williams. So shout out to Max. Definitely go check him out on Twitter and YouTube. But I seen this tweet, and honestly, it does speak volumes on where Hedera is at right now. So he did say, it's actually getting to the point now that what would be groundbreaking announcements on most other crypto platforms are getting missed on Hedera. It's genuinely hard to keep up. And yeah, I mean, honestly, when we take a look at what's been happening on Hedera recently, compared to most, it is night and day. And not only that, but like the network activity alone on Hedera is truly mind blowing. But again, most people are just ignoring it. And I feel like what really gets a lot of the spotlight attention is the FUD, is, all the token releases, or it's this, or it's that. It's just like, it's crazy to me that everything else gets overlooked. Like, we have an asset in this space that has a network that is transacting nearly 1,000 TPS a day. Like, think about how crazy that is. It has 1,000 transactions per second running on it, or I should say it's near, right? Because when we go over here, we're at 900 TPS right now. I remember recently, in fact, when we go over to the Hedera tags here. So if we go to Hedera's main Twitter, we know that we just hit 4 billion transactions back on February 13th. We are now at 4.8 billion transactions. We almost added a billion transactions since this tweet, right? So let's actually look at that. Let's think about that, like, because that is huge, and it's only just the beginning. Because we will be adding a billion transactions a day. I have zero doubt about that. And when we take a look at the revenue has been on the uptrend. We have been focused on this for a while because obviously revenue is a big thing. I remember when the revenue report for Hedera was at, like, I think maybe like $3,000, and it was like 4,000, but now we're almost at $7,000 per day in revenue, which, hey, I love to see that, because honestly, when we look at the yearly equivalent, we're sitting at about almost 2.5 million. I look forward to the day when this is at like 20 million, 200 million, possibly even, $2 billion. That would be huge. When we get to that point, the entire network is going to look a little bit different. I actually want to take a look real quick at Metrica, because when we take a look real quick at what Metrica is showing us, we can see a little bit of an insight on the transaction demand here. So on the 1 day span, we're actually sitting at about 61.84 million, almost 62 million. Max TPS sitting at about like 3.4K. In the last 1 hour, you could also see the average total transactions here as well, but average TPS is sitting at about 650. The total transactions sitting at 2.5 million. Check out the 1 week. This is pretty crazy. So yeah, I mean, when we take a look at the transactional demand here of Hedera, it is really game changer, or sorry, it's really game changing, to compare to other major networks. And like, think about like just how overlooked Hedera is right now. In the last 3 months, we have done 2 billion transactions. Account growth has been incredible, to say the least. Like, right now, as we do focus on the bigger picture, I think that people are just overlooking Hedera because of the FUD, or maybe they just don't like what Hedera is doing. Maybe they're blindsided by other networks. I have no idea, but I will say I'm very excited for the future of Hedera, especially with the network growth. And we even do see from Hedera, we do see this year the Hedera network has seen a sustained and massive uptick in the transaction volume. The bulk of it being the result of increased enterprise utilization of the Hedera Consensus Service as a decentralized public notary and system of immutable record. Year to date, the Hedera mainnet has processed over 2 billion transactions, averaging almost 400 TPS consistently. This unprecedented activity in Web3 has welcomed a huge amount of FUD regarding the validity, of these transactions and whether their inclusion in our TPS count is misleading. And again, there is so much FUD around Hedera, it's ridiculous. And they even did address it in this post. If you guys do want to go check it, you guys are more than welcome to. But It really is crazy. Like I said, the only spotlighted attention that Hedera does get is FUD and negative viewpoints, which is crazy because, as I mentioned many times, like Hedera is a game changer in the space. I think that a lot of people are just overlooking it because they think that it's centralized or this or that, because there's been over 2 consecutive years now of just straight up FUD statements around what Hedera is doing. It's insane to me. And I think that a lot of people are starting to realize this, and I think that a lot of people are starting to realize the power and the potential behind Hedera. I actually seen this account here, so Orbis86, they have almost 30,000 followers. They said, we chose to mint our NFTs on the Hedera platform for several reasons beyond our ambitious and innovative nature. And most of it was because of the efficiencies around, fast transactions, scalable transactions, gas fees, secure transactions, and also even the community. Like, this is incredible to see. I love to see this. And by the way, if you guys do want to go check out this project, you guys are more than welcome to. They're actually minting right now, and this looks solid. I actually love the look of this project. I think that's incredible to say the least. But I think that when we take a look at what's happening around the space and around the sector, I think that a lot more people are going to start to realize the value behind Hedera and what the platform does have to offer, especially for NFT projects compared to Ethereum or Solana or whatever the case may be. So I look forward to this. I think that we're going to see a lot more of transitions from Ethereum over to Hedera eventually. And also, community growth, these events. I mean, check out the booth from Ethereum Denver. A lot of people will say like this looks weak, but it looks like this has been very, very active. There's been a lot of individuals showing up and, looking at what Hedera has to offer. I mean, when you show up and you see this GC list, I mean, how can't you be, interested in to see what they're building, what's happening at Hedera? I really do think that soon a lot more people will soon realize the value behind Hedera, and I think that that's when everything really does change. Now, also, TPS demand. So, like I said, with the network demand, with everything that is happening on the network. So let's go back to the TPS and let's really kind of look at what's happening right now. So, currently we're almost sitting at about 1,000 TPS or so. When we take a look at this presentation, so this is actually an old presentation, but it's the trust layer of the internet, Hedera Hashgraph. Let's go through this real quick. So, first off, they do hit the nail right on the head in terms of every single aspect: performance, security, stability, and governance. But then after this, I do want to talk to you guys about the opportunities. So, as I've mentioned around DLT technology, especially the efficient types of DLT in the space, we look at the overall goal. So what's the goal of crypto? A lot of people think that to escape traditional finance and have this decentralized financial opportunity for us to really kind of like just hide all of our money and have full privacy and control over our money, whatever. But ultimately speaking, when we take a look at the offerings from distributed ledger technology, it could disrupt and ultimately reshape every single major industry out there. I think that this diagram here really kind of speaks volumes on where we're headed, right? So we do see third-party applications, which we're already kind of seeing this happen on Hedera. We've talked about Toko, which is tokenizing in real estate. We've talked about a lot of the healthcare offerings on Hedera. We've talked about the financial offerings. We talked about, what's happening within the Web3 area around gaming, legal, logistics, all that kind of stuff. And this is the third-party applications that are disrupting these significant opportunity areas. These are industries, entire sectors being disrupted that hold hundreds of trillions of dollars in value. And this is what we'll see. We'll see all of these industries being digitized and tokenized through Hedera and through cryptocurrency and consensus services that will lead all the way back to primary network services, Hedera governing council members, end users, all of them, like all those end users up there, individuals, enterprises, governments, devices, all of that will be sourced through these third-party applications, all through Hedera. And this is where we will see network effects like no one's ever seen before. Here you guys have the Hedera mainnet and mirrornet. So everything that we will see pushed through Hedera, it's going to be a transaction. What we see right now is all through the consensus mechanism, which if we go back up here, this is the consensus service. This is, again, a huge area of opportunity for the network growth. But here we have Hedera mainnet and mirrornet. You could see everything around here in terms of those transactions. But think about the network effects when we have a lot more use cases live. Like right now, we have one enterprise grade use case live and it's doing these transactions. Think about the network effects from retail combined with enterprise, combined with institutional investment and things like that. Like there's so much more left to really uncover here with Hedera. Like the TPS, and by the way, this was posted when we had 864 million transactions. Yeah, that's how that's how fast Hedera has been transacting. But think about how big of an opportunity Hedera has with all of these use cases still left to go live, and you know, especially from the enterprise grade sector. Like you look at the governing council, and there's so much more to offer. I even talked about this with FTPOS, right? So going back over a year ago, FTPOS revealed a plan to power Australian smart cities with blockchain technology, and this was through Hedera. In fact, like if you look into this, they do mention like Hedera is the only next generation network that will support those kinds of use cases. So we wanted to test it, and it has operated beautifully. Now, because we've got all this digital strategy, we are in a position where we could start looking at ways that problems can be solved in a way which is maybe non-traditional and more distributed. Meaning, you know, with these use cases, these big use cases, we talk about like micropayments, we talk about, you know, CBDCs, tokenization, all those things. Like these are things that can be realized through Hedera because of how efficient it is, how different it is. And again, that's why I think that Hedera gets such a bad name in this space, because of how diverse the overall offering is compared to the traditional blockchain technology that we have in the space. So when we really kind of look at the future around Hedera, and we look at these offerings through, you know, companies like FPOS that are, you know, doing things completely different than what we see on other major networks, and we see names coming over here from the Ethereum space to mint on Hedera because of the efficiencies that it has to boast. Like this is going to be a game changer going forward on. And you know, I seen a comment on my last HBAR video where somebody was saying like, you know, I'm just shilling HBAR. You know, it's not even the idea of shilling a project. It's not the idea of, hey, you know, I want you guys to buy HBAR. No, I'm just sitting here and I'm telling you guys, technologically speaking, when we compare Hedera to anything else in this space, there really isn't anything on the same level of what Hedera has done. You know, the efficiencies that got mentioned here from Orbis, you know, we take a look at scalability, we take a look at cost effectiveness, we take a look at the speed that transactions settle, and we take a look at the security. Like this is why I said, like when we go back over to this presentation and we go back up to the top here and we click here, you know, every single area of opportunity that, you know, this technology has to offer, Hedera has it all. It's an all-in-one package. This is the real deal, especially for an enterprise-grade use case and application. That's why we do see the transactional demand that we see on Hedera. That's why we will see going forward as well, the transactional demand that we see, you know, be heightened by, you know, 3x, 5x, 10x, 20x, 100x, because this is a network that I believe, one, it's a 100-year company. So that in itself, you know, really kind of paints a picture on where we are headed. But also, you know, 1 billion transactions per day is 100% a possibility on Hedera. And I do believe that we will get to that point. It's only a matter of time. If you guys did enjoy the video, definitely leave a like, subscribe, to notifications on it because I'm more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join for Discord down in the description below. So it's up to you all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night. If you guys are on this before, this has been Nick. Peace out, guys.